When you think of a national curriculum, you probably imagine some dry, dusty document, right? But what if it was something more? What if it was actually a blueprint to reshape an entire generation? Well, that's exactly what's happening in Uganda. Today, we're diving into their incredible plan to completely overhaul their education system.
And it all starts right here. Now, at first glance, this just looks like a standard syllabus for a tech class. But trust me, this little book represents a massive shift in thinking, a radical move away from a system that's been in place for decades towards something totally new for Uganda students. And get this, the document itself is brutally honest. Right at the beginning, it hits you with this quote. It's basically saying, hey, our old system was only built for a tiny elite, and it was failing everybody else. That one single idea, that's the spark that lit this entire educational fire.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the crossroads Uganda was facing. Then, we'll get into the huge philosophical shift from just knowing to doing. After that, we'll check out the kind of student they're trying to build, see how tech is the engine for all of this, and finally, we'll map out a student's actual 4-year journey.
Okay, first up, Uganda's educational crossroads. To really get why a country would take on such a massive project, you have to understand the problem they were staring down. The old system wasn't just a little out of date, it was creating some serious challenges for its young people.
And here's the real kicker. This wasn't just about dusty textbooks. The old curriculum was causing real-world harm. It was so obsessed with theory and memorization that students were graduating without the practical skills they actually needed for a job. This led to a huge skills gap and was a direct cause of a major youth unemployment crisis.
Which brings us right to the heart of this transformation, the move from knowing to doing. And let me be clear, this isn't just tweaking a few classes. This is a fundamental pivot in the entire philosophy of what education is supposed to be.
So look at this contrast. On the left, you've got the old knowledge-based way. You know the drill. The teacher stands at the front and talks, and students just memorize facts for the test. But on the right, you have the new competence-based approach. Here, the focus completely shifts to what a student can do with their knowledge. It's all about hands-on activities and solving real problems. The old model basically looked like this, a one-way street. Information flowed from the teacher, who had all the knowledge, down to the students, who were just supposed to absorb it passively. But the new model, it's a dynamic loop. Learning doesn't start with a lecture, it starts with an activity, a project, a problem to solve. That activity sparks discussion and teamwork, not just with the teacher, but between the students themselves. It's a constant cycle of doing, talking, and getting feedback. It's active learning.
Okay, so if that's the how, what about the what? What's the end goal of all this? What kind of person is this new curriculum actually designed to create?
And the answer is so much bigger than just acing a test. The goal is to cultivate students who are self-assured, who are responsible citizens, and who see learning as a lifelong adventure. This is about building the future of the nation, creating people who can innovate, adapt, and make a real contribution.
So how do you get there? The secret ingredient is what they call these generic skills. And the big idea here is that things like critical thinking, communication, and creativity aren't taught as separate subjects. No, they are woven into the fabric of every single class. You learn problem solving in your science class, and you practice communication through your history projects. It's brilliant. Now, let's zoom in on one of those skills in particular, because it's the one that really acts as the engine for this entire overhaul: information and communications technology, or ICT. In this new world, it's way more than just a subject. See, ICT isn't just another class you go to. It's the tool you use in all your other classes. When you're on a field trip, you're using cameras to document what you see. When you have to present in class, you're building a slide deck. When you analyze data, you're using spreadsheets. Technology stops being the thing you learn about and becomes the tool through which you learn everything else. So let's make this really concrete. What does this actually look and feel like for a student walking into school on day one? Let's trace their 4-year tech journey. The whole journey is so intentional. In your first year, you're learning the absolute basics. What are the parts of a computer? How do you manage files? By year 2, you're already applying those skills to make spreadsheets and presentations. Year 3 gets more advanced with things like database management. And by your final year, you're tackling high-level skills like web design and data security. You can see the progression, right? You start as a basic user and graduate as a potential creator. So yeah, 4 years. The big takeaway here is that this isn't a quick fix.
It's a comprehensive four-year overhaul designed to methodically build a student's skills from the ground up, so that by the time they graduate, they have a set of tools that are relevant, practical, and truly empowering.
And all of this brings us to a much bigger question, one that goes way beyond Uganda. In a world that's being totally transformed by AI and automation, is a curriculum built on what you can do, not just what you know? Is that the blueprint for the future of education everywhere?